Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out to 1 Million Cups. I can't believe it's August already. We're almost back to the September grind. Kids going back to school, all the summer activities starting to dwindle down. So I'm glad to see everybody here. Remember, we're every single Wednesday, so don't hesitate to come out and don't let us drop off your schedule. Today we just, real quick, we'll go through our sponsors. We're thankful for the library for donating the space to us. We've got Field 59 and Derek back there doing the live stream. So if you ever can't make an event and you want to really see the presenter in real time, you can find the link to the live feed either via our newsletter or our website. And then after the event, you can always find the recordings of the videos on our site or on our YouTube channel. So definitely check it out. And then we have 100 State, who has sponsored our coffee from Crescendo. Oh, we have Eric. Can we let him in? Sorry.
No
we have
press.
Eric from the Cap
No
Line coming here. So again, we're really thankful for the community and the audience members that come out and the presenters that make this all possible. This next week, or actually I guess starting Thursday evening, we kick off Forward Fest. So I'm sure I'll see a lot of these faces at various events. There are over 44 right now. We're hosting a Doyen 1 Million Cups 5x5x5. And so that is just a reminder that next week there is not a typical 1 million cups. The Doyen 5x5x5 is a paid event. It's going to be held at the library. It supports women entrepreneurs, and one of the women entrepreneurs pitching will take home a $5,000 check. So we're really excited to help support that within our community. So you're able to sign up via the website. Just remember that there won't be a traditional 1 million cups. We'll resume the following week. And then this Friday, we have the systems, the failures, and the consequences on the country, and that's an event that Shobhan Thacker and I are hosting. We have Dean Strang and Jerry Booting from the Making a Murderer series on Netflix, so come out. I know that they said they'd do some photo ops, which I think is cool. And if you missed the breaking news, Brendan Dassey just got his conviction overturned, so it's kind of hot in the media right now. There's also Venfair and Badger Startup Summit, which is happening, which will be a really cool way to see what the Madison startup scene looks like and what are the different organizations. So I would encourage you to check that one out as well. And on that note, I'm Rachel Neal. I'm one of the organizers here, and I also work at Nordic.
Joey Crane, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Steve Clodd, co-founder of 32 Auctions, which is a platform for hosting and managing silent auction fundraisers.
Tom Willis, I'm a software technology consultant working with patents and intellectual property.
Juan Gomez with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Chris Schiffner with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Derek Epler with Field 59, founder and CEO, SaaS platform for OTT premium content.
Rick Storkin, attorney with Knight Boucher.
Bob Dobbins, Wisconsin Agent Network.
Drew Corson, I'm an attorney at Knight Boucher.
Bob Hope, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Eric Lawrenson, Capital Times.
Brian Wade with Neckerman Insurance and Atlas Providers.
Varun Bhargava with Retail Next.
Alex Ryan, Solar Energy Professional.
Nicholas Kartos with Jim Dandy.
Shannon Flash, CUNY Mutual Group.
Leah Anderson, I'm also an organizer, and I also work at Nordic.
We're now going to turn things over to you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shashanka, and I'm the founder and CEO and everything of Smart Drivinc. Before I start, let me ask you a question. How many of you consider yourself a safe driver? Just raise your hands. Safe drivers. Come on, safe drivers. Okay, okay, you are hesitating. I see that. You did. How many of you used a cell phone in the last 1 week while driving? Please. Okay, by the end of the presentation, I want to make you guys feel guilty. 26% of all accidents in the United States are because either driver is on the cell phone at the time of the accident. Not many people realize it, that's a fact. And with the smartphone adoption in the society reaching more than 70%, this number is going up and up and up. Especially in 2015, as some of you might know, the first half of 2015 had seen the fatalities due to auto accidents increase by more than 10%. And across the board, the number of accidents increased as well. And this spike has not, we never saw such a spike, and this is the first time since World War II that it happened. And most of the experts, including Warren Buffett, think it's because of cell phone usage while driving. Though there is no quantification similar to drunk driving, where if you are pulled over, the cop will put a sensor, he'll say either you are drunk or not. In texting and driving or in using cell phone, there is no such thing. That is one of the key challenge experiencing right now the whole insurance industry. And towards the end of the last year, across the board, all insurance carriers raised premiums, some of them more, almost 25%. And in 2015 again, in the first 9 months, Geico lost more than $500 million, and State Farm lost another $500 million in underwriting income. And that was unexpected, and that is one of the reasons why they raised premiums in the second half of the year. And everyone agrees that end of the day, it's distracted driving, fueled by smartphone usage while driving. And though everyone knows it is a problem, and we always think we are the smart and safe drivers. And unfortunately, that's where the problem is, and that is what the problem I'm solving. The way we are solving that is, we want to turn your smartphone into a dumb phone. Essentially, a good old phone, and we want to turn your smartphone into a dumb phone only when you're driving and when you're in the driving seat. The goal is not to shut down the phone, but to reduce the functionality of your phone or your driver's access to the functionality of the phone while driving. And the way we do that is using a hardware and software combination. The hardware is barely bigger than a quarter. It sits on the windshield, creates a smart zone surrounding the driver, and it extends the driver and the app, which is sitting in the phone, installed on the phone, together with the hardware, figures out when the car is moving and where the phone is. Is it in the driver's seat or is it in the passenger seat? Is it in the driver's seat or is it in the passenger seat? If it is in the driver's seat, if it is in the passenger seat, your access to the phone is normal. If it is in the driver's seat, it goes into a pre-configured mode where the configuration is pretty much set by either your spouse or your parent or someone else, some administrator. And that is password protected. And in that smart mode, you essentially have access to some basic functions, not the whole functionality. For example, texting is gone. And only few numbers and few apps are accessible that might be required while driving. Our business model initially, when I started the company, it was in 2015, January, back in St. Louis. At that point, my target was parents with teens, and that's where I wanted to go. But recently, this year, we got into Global Insurance Accelerator. How many of you are familiar with Global Insurance Accelerator? In Des Moines, it's one of the first accelerator focused towards insurance industry. And as you all know, Des Moines is the hub of insurance. And we got into GIA this year, and we made some changes in our product as well as in our business model. Now our focus is on insurance carriers. So our business model is we reach out to insurance carriers, and insurance carriers pay us for the product and whatever. And then they'll reach out to their customers, policy holders, and distribute the hardware and software. How many of you are familiar with telematics? Telematics is a dongle by snapshot. Essentially, it's a snapshot, a dongle by Progressive. It goes in the OBD port of your car. It monitors how good or a bad driver you are based on how many times you are hard braking and those kind of things. So our business model is similar to that, but our value proposition is compelling when compared to telematics. In telematics, as a driver, all you know is that you are a good driver or bad driver. How can you improve your fuel efficiency? Day by day, cars are becoming smart, and you are getting all those answers right on the dashboard without the snapshot. So essentially, their value proposition is going down, and our value proposition is we are going to save your life, your family's life, your spouse's life, your kid's life, somebody's life. So that is our value proposition. And our first target, even with the insurance carriers, what we are targeting parents with the teen as the first entry point. But across the board, if you look at the statistics, across the board, distracted driving is a big problem, irrespective of age. It only dips between 25 and 35. That's when I think we all become a little bit of responsible, if you will. And after 35, we are like, most of us are like married and hey, I'm responsible. Now I can do whatever I want, right? So after 35, it picks up again. So irrespective of the age and demographic, socio-economic status, distracted driving is a problem for everyone. So though that is the strategy, we are starting with the parents with teens, and we want to go to across the board irrespective of any variable. Right now, the way insurance industry works is, anytime a new technology is there, insurance industry first does a pilot study. So the meaning of a pilot is generally they do 2 or 3 months, few hundred customers, sometimes tens of customers. They try to get comfortable around the technology and try to see what is the value proposition of the technology before letting the entrepreneur/startup to take over the whole policyholder book. So we signed 2 pilots right now, and for our first pilot is going to start this month. And our second pilot, which is a major pilot with an insurance carrier, is starting on October 1st. And we are in discussion with 5 other carriers and 2 more national level carriers. And surprisingly, they reached out to me. I was kind of surprised. And so let's see how it goes. And we were also finalists for the ACARD Insurance Innovation Challenge. It's a global challenge for insurance themed startups. And out of the 3 sessions, one is in Des Moines, New York, and London. From Des Moines, we were one of the topper. And we'll be pitching again this October in the final in Boca Raton, Florida. When I started this venture, no money, no expertise in the insurance industry. So I'm a hardware engineer by profession. I'm a biooptical systems engineer. I was a biooptical systems engineer, not anymore. And so technically I'm a hardware engineer, no software background, especially no mobile background. But my brother, who is a software engineer for almost 20 years, who also has a degree from UC Berkeley in data sciences. So I pulled him in, and free engineer, right? Where can you get within the family? So I pulled him in and I gave him, whatever the share, whatever it is. So we both are the drivers of the company right now. And we have partnerships in offshore with offshore companies where we are getting our hardware resources and all those things. And now he's leading the software, I'm leading the hardware /business/whatever. So we both are driving the company, and we are always looking for people to collaborate as well as to form partnerships, especially in the marketing. We do realize we have a significant deficit on the marketing side. Thank you very much.
Could you say a little more about your pilot programs? Like what are you looking to validate as far as, is it ease of use? Is it some kind of critical mass of data that you're gathering from those?
The pilot programs, it's a little bit of both. So in the pilot programs, the most important thing is we want to make sure that there is a value proposition for insurance carrier to partner with. That is the most important thing. The way we do that is we reach out to their policyholders and see what their feedback is. That's the most important one. The secondary one is obviously we are getting some data. Any data is good data, right? So especially for a startup. So it's a two-way street. But the most importantly, it's policyholders who should be excited, and insurance carriers who should see the value. And that is what we want to convey in the pilot studies. Yes, please.
How would you make money? Are you charging the policyholders or the actual insurance companies?
Insurance carriers. So in our business model, insurance carriers are the ones who's going to pay or anything, and they distribute it to their policyholders, and they make their own choice in terms of how much discount, do they give discount or not, or how much discount. It's all up to the insurance carrier. We don't do anything on the money front with the policyholders. Yes, Rich.
So it'll disable your cell phone in the driver's seat only, so
Yes.
nobody else in the rest of the car is affected.
Yes.
And you'll be able to, if the insurance company will be able to tell if somebody has removed that device or things like that?
Good question, yes. So one of the, how many are engineers in this room? Oh, only one engineer, okay.
Wow.
So from engineering standpoint, it's very easy to design these systems. But one of the key things we closed gap, especially if you look at the competitors as well, is I have the competitors' devices I tested. So if you remove the hardware, in our case, once the hardware is removed, the administrator will get the notification. If they try to remove, uninstall the software, the administrator will get the notification. And that is the gap we closed, whereas our competitors, if you remove the hardware, for example, I tested their hardware for 1 week and then I put it in my trunk, nobody ever got the notification. So we, as human beings, if there is a way to break the rule, we are going to break it. We are going to break it. So that is the biggest gap we closed, and our price point with respect to the competitors is 50% less than of the nearest competitor. Yes, please.
Do you have to like turn on, do you have to turn on the app before you get in your car, or is it like? how
It
do you-
automatically goes in.
So then is like, how is that for battery usage if it's just on all the time?
It's on all the time. It uses Bluetooth, but these days everybody's Bluetooth is on. Bluetooth is optimized.
Yeah.
So in our studies, the battery utilization is very, very minimal.
Like what if you just don't drive? Like what if you don't drive for a week? Will they get a notification thinking that you removed the
Yes.
hardware?
You'll get the notification, some kind of notification, depending upon how the administrator wants to set it out.
Okay.
So there will be, those safeguards are there. Yes, please.
What does the landscape look like in regards to your competition?
That's a good question. Every app developer who is in the insurance slash connected car market want to claim that they are solving distracted driving problem. So if you go and see outside, if you just Google distracted driving, you will see tons of apps sitting out there. So that is one competitor. The problem with the app, this app only solution is, it does not differentiate between the driver and passenger. AT&T has a free app for almost 5 years. So every time you get in the car, irrespective of whether you are a driver or passenger, it will disengage the phone. In the world of hyper-connected world of today, we really don't want to disconnect the passengers. And that is where the adoption is one of the biggest challenge with app-only solutions. Now, then there is second type of competition where you have some sort of hardware involved. And in that competition, there are technically two different companies. One is, there is a Drive Origi from Virginia, I believe. What they do is they have some kind of interlocking system, and which is coupled to the phone. So, but the problem with that is it costs $299 for one system. And then there is another company in Mississippi which costs around same $199 along with $29 monthly subscription. They want 2-year subscription signed up front. So those are two competitors. But our direct competitor is a company called Cell Control out of Louisiana. They have the hardware which essentially sits in the middle of the windshield, creates an invisible line. Anybody this side, the phone is disengaged. Anybody that side, the phone is engaged. The problem with that is, there are 3 problems. One is, the driver behind the passenger behind the driver phone is also disengaged. Second one, all you have to do is put your hand. I drive a Honda Civic, though I'm a big guy, I drive a Honda Civic these days. So I don't even have to put my hand, I'm right there, you know? And the third biggest problem is, that right now, that product is sitting in my garage. Nobody ever got the notification. So as I mentioned, if there is a way to break it, people are going to break it. Although I realize it's like McAfee, right? They can develop as strong firewall they can, but there's always a hacker out there who is going to go through it. So it's a process of building, but even if you don't do the minimal safeguards, then the product is not going to work, and that is where they have problem. And finally, most importantly, the product costs $129. Family, 2 teenagers in a family, they're looking at $250. In my case, our product costs around $60, and if a family of 4 wants 4 cars, 4 hardware devices, our goal is to keep it less than $150 for all the 4. So the affordability is key. And the problem is not a niche problem, it's an epidemic, which affects irrespective of socioeconomic status. So affordability is the key to penetration, and we are there. Yes, please.
From a hardware perspective, do you have a sense that Bluetooth is going to be, what you'll be using for the time being? Do you sense that there's another better, more standardized technology coming? Bluetooth's improved, but that's more of a range thing lately.
This morning I was driving here from Minneapolis, and Ford yesterday announced that they're coming with the steeringless, brakeless, driverless car by 2021 or 5 years. So the technology, my point is, the technology is always going to change. And there might be something else, new technology, but our goal with this is, it is Bluetooth right now, but we want to move away from Bluetooth and to get into some kind of a proprietary encryption model. But again, one of the things, if you want to look into this, is we are dependent directly on Google and Apple, right? Those are the phone manufacturers, right? So end of the day, what they allow is what you get with. For example, in Android 6, they made a big mess in Android 6. For Tile and Fitbit won't sync properly with Android 6, and they sent out a patch of 601. So there are multitude of variables, but yes, we are always looking for new variables. Yes.
Does this prevent drivers from using a GPS?
No. So one of the things I didn't go into detail is that. So what happens in this smart zone what is a dumb phone? Let's define that definition. So my point of dumb phone is essentially it gives you access to few of the numbers to call, incoming or outgoing, and then few of the apps you can use. For example, maps. In teenagers' case, it might be Spotify. So those are the apps they can always use. And 911 is always enabled. So our goal is to reduce the distraction, but not to chop off the phone completely. Okay. Not to shut it down. Because if you shut it down, it's not going to fly. Everyone knows it's a problem, but you can't shut it down. So our goal is to minimize the distraction as much as possible. And we want to give that decision making to parents or loved ones or whoever the admin is. If they don't want their kids to have any app, that's their choice. That's their choice. So as a company, we'll give them tools. They can use whatever the way they want. The only requirement for us is we are not going to give them access to texting, and we are not going to block 911. Those two are done. Everything else, it's up to the parent. Yes?
So I'm assuming that this gives the insurance companies would be able to pass a discount to the insured if they're following the rules, they're not a distracted driver. Do you think it'll be a significant discount? I know teen drivers are a very expensive.
Twice, at least twice. The premium increases at least twice every time a teen driver comes into picture. So as I mentioned, telematics is our template for this business model, and telematics has been there for almost 10 years. And there are numerous studies, including Harvard did a study on the adoption rate of telematics, and adoption of telematics in the society is very horrible. So when they did surveys, what they come up with is less than 20% of the people who are advertised for adopted the telematics technology. And the reason for the 20% why they adopted is they always want to learn new technology. There's always people out there who always want to learn new technologies and use new technologies. They're always on Kickstarter looking for new technologies. So those are the people who are always, they don't worry about anything else, but they want to be on par with the new technologies. And then there is 1/3 of population who said the discounts are not enough. And remember, with Progressive, they said the discount is up to 30%. And these guys are saying discounts are not enough. And then there is another 1/3 of the population who said, no way in the hell, quote unquote. And since we live in the big brother society, people doesn't want to be tracked. So there is no way I'm not saying that I'm going to convince that 1/3, but what I'm saying is for these two, about 20% as well as the 1/3, there is a value proposition from us. With telematics, the value proposition is, okay, you drove from your home to office this morning, you crossed 10 traffic lights, you hard brake 3 times at so-and-so latitude or so-and-so intersection. You have no idea why you did that. And you have no way to rectify that problem per se. So in our case, what we are saying is we are reducing your distraction and we are saving your life. So it is more high value proposition when compared to telematics, so our adoption will be good. What that also means is the insurance carriers might get a break in terms of 30%. reduction in the premium. And when I spoke to the insurance carriers, what they say is that is not a factor for them. We are open to giving the discount. The only thing we want to see is how it is going to help our numbers. And one of the things they always see is everyone agrees that it is a problem and they want to try it out.
So given how your pilot study goes or whatnot, a discount could be coming down the
Yes,
chain?
of course, there will be a discount, yes. Yes.
You mentioned it was $60. How much does it cost to make, and is $60 the insurance, is that the price the insurance companies pay for it?
Yes.
And then is there any sort of software SaaS monthly fee that you charge
There
the
is,
insurance companies?
depending upon what kind of data insurance carriers are looking for. Because insurance carriers, they are like, each carrier is completely different from the other. Some carriers, they just don't want to deal with any data. Some are like, I want this, I want that. And some of them are like, so there's wide variety of combinations. So it all depends upon what.
And then, like, what's the cost to make one of the things that goes on the windshield?
I really don't want to go there.
That's fine.
Sorry.
But I mean, if an insurance company buys 1 million of them, they're probably not paying $60, right?
Yeah, their cost will go
okay.
down. It's
Yeah.
a sliding scale. It's a sliding scale
Yeah.
for them, yes. At some point, they'll go to all the way to 35.
Did you mention anything about email? Did you say that, or is it just text that we're shutting off?
Oh, pretty much everything.
Shut off the,
Everything.
so a
Only
person
the-
couldn't read their email?
No. Only the 2 or 3 numbers which are pre-approved can come and go, incoming and outgoing. Everything else is fine. Yes.
With the proliferation of hands-free driving, like Siri embedded in cars,
Yes.
how do you see that interacting with your product?
There are new technologies always coming with the new cars. That's the first part. The second part of that is hands-free technologies, including Siri, Android Play, and any Bluetooth. Research shows that those have no effect. That's the second part. But there is always technologies coming out there. But the reality is, we have so many models and so many makes of cars. By the time these technologies boil down all the way down, for example, my Civic is 2015, pretty much brand new last year. I bought it almost a year back. Other than Bluetooth, it doesn't have anything. Probably in the superior model of Civic, they might be there, but again, we are looking at luxury models. But those will be coming, yes. And the reality is, even in spite of that, you still have the same cognitive. People looked at the cognitive load of making a call versus taking a call through Siri or car versus texting and all this, and they quantified it. It's the same. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, so with regards to your pilot, kind of a 2-part question. What's kind of next steps if it's deemed successful, and what is considered successful with those pilots? I mean, is it if they do a test with 100 people and the 100 people don't get in an accident, it's considered a success, and then kind of what are our next steps?
No. The way these pilots look into for example, if you look at the statistics, with 100 people, you are not going to make any statistical claim. And that is not what the intention of the pilots at all. To make any statistical claims, you need bigger data sets and longer durations. So probably thousands of customers for at least 3-4 years before making any statistical claim. So that is not the goal with the pilots at all. With the pilots, the goal is simply, does the policyholder feel it's giving them peace of mind? What is the policyholder's feel? For example, after 1 month or 2 months, we'll go to the policyholder and say, do you feel comfortable that you can trust your kid with the car better than before? That would be a valid question. And for the insurance carrier, the valid question would be, now the policyholder, is he going to stick with the carrier for this technology? Because that is the differentiator in the marketing, right? So is the policyholder going to stick with it? So that is some of the things they are going to look into. So, but statistically, no.
But that seems very subjective. So
It is.
So it'd
It
be
is.
really hard to quantify success.
That is the reason why I said each individual carrier is different. So in our discussions with each individual carrier, they know, we know, that it is not a statistical claim we are making. And if somebody is making a statistical claim, it's time to walk out of the room. Because with the pilot, you really can't make a statistical claim. So they have no idea what they're talking, if they're making a statistical claim, you know? So with the pilots, the carriers are always looking for customer validation. What is the policyholder looking for? Pilots are less interested in anything else. The first and foremost is, are their customers happy with the technology? Or does the customer feel that there is an NSA sitting on their back, you know? So that is what happened with the telematics. So the customer felt that, you know, too much of monitoring. And that is the reason why adoption went down.
I feel like, if I can interject, as the mother of a child that's soon to be driving, and as somebody who has a nanny that drives my kids around, I would buy something like this to just make sure that there was something in the car that disabled them from doing it, just because I think especially with teenagers or anyone that you say don't do this,
They are going to do it.
and they're going to do it
Yes.
anyway because they
Yes.
say, oh, you're not looking. Or you know, when my nanny's driving my little kids around, I want to make sure that she's being really safe on the road, and I'm not there to watch and say, oh, she didn't look at that text message that
Yes.
came in.
So the success of the pilot is very subjective, and it mostly starts with the customer satisfaction, nothing but customer satisfaction. Because even if there is a huge data or huge thing for the insurance carriers, they do realize that they can't force their policyholders to take any technology. And that's what exactly happened with telematics. With telematics, insurance is getting this whole set of data sets, and they can't force the policyholder to use the telematics number. So the success is always subjective.
So I know the dongle's been around for a long time.
Yes, 2009.
Yeah, so is this going to replace that at some point?
No, I don't have to replace the dongle at all. The dongle is going to kill itself.
Yeah.
Because with the connected car market,
Yeah.
like right now, as I mentioned, in my Honda Civic, I know exactly what my mileage is, how
Yeah.
much consumption I'm doing.
Yeah.
So with the dongle, I'm getting the same information. Why do I want a dongle? So dongle is going to kill itself, and dongle is not addressing the distracted driving. Dongle is tailored mostly towards the carrier, feeding carrier the data,
Yeah.
but not giving anything,
Right.
something to the driver.
Right.
And that is where we differ. We balance those two, not only feeding the data to the carrier,
So you're
but
getting
also.
the sensor data from your phone that feeds the carrier still?
Yes, but again, that data is totally up to the policyholder to define or decide. Say,
Got it.
I don't want to share this data, no, it won't go.
Got it.
How much data does it use?
Oh, where is it?
So as one, I had the snapshot for a while, and I mean, it, you know, didn't have to connect to anything, obviously.
Yeah,
It had its own
Snapshot,
internet
initially when
connection,
started
whatever.
Snapshot, there was no, smartphone was
Right.
in infancy. So it has its own SIM card earlier. They're moving away from that right now, and they're getting into the app-based solution only. So the data in the when compared to Snapshot or any dongle-based, any telematics-based solution, our data usage will be less than 10% of whatever the data they're using. Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to clarify on what kind of, I mean, so the telematics collects a lot of data, you
Yes.
know, where you are, how fast you're going,
Yes.
where you're going,
Yes.
and that all seems super creepy and Big Brother, even though your Google's doing that to you anyway.
Of course, yes.
But people are,
Google
okay,
has
because it's
our
Google, it's
digital
cool, 'cause it's
snapshot,
Google.
yes.
But obviously, it hasn't worked, it's a marketing disaster at 20%.
Yes.
So what are you collecting information about the movement, aside from the fact that, you know, the car's moving, therefore there should be a driver and the driver's phone should be turned off? I mean, is there other data you're collecting?
That is what I was referring to when I said different carriers has different requirements. Some of the carriers are not at all interested in data. They are like, you know, give it to our customer, we want to provide peace of mind,
Right.
and we are good with it.
That seems great.
Yeah, you know, and then there are other carriers where we also want some data.
Mm.
And what though telematics is on our horizon, though I'm not a big fan of telematics, we are collecting similar data for those carriers. For example, some carriers might say, okay, what kind of activities these guys are doing while driving? I just want to see. So it depends upon each carrier requirements, what they want and what they don't want. But most of the carriers are, at least early on, they are like, you know, I just want to give it to my policyholders, and I want to make sure that they're going to stay with me.
Right.
Because the going around is pretty problematic.
Sure.
Because there are no new customers, right? Essentially, you have to get customers from other carriers.
Right.
So people who are, all the carriers want to keep their customers.
I mean,
Retention
so
rate.
as a company, do you have an opinion? I mean, like, you know, Rachel's like, for the peace of mind, this seems like a great product. And I
Yes.
totally agree with that, right?
Yes, yes. That's where I started.
That's great. Do you, you know, but your app can provide some data transmission back to the insurance carriers. Do you guys think will you do better if the insurance carriers lay off that side of it and just focus on creating this dumb zone?
No, I think it depends upon the segment of the policy holder. For example, if it is a commercial, right? If it is like, commercial insurance, right? They want a lot of data there.
Sure.
So again,
Well, they're the policyholders or a company. They probably want the data on the
exactly.
drivers.
So, fleet managers and the insurance carriers involved in the fleet managers, they are big time data guys. And whereas parents with teenagers, they are less of data, more of safety, So it's a safety versus data play going into any carrier's discussion. And as always, we are starting with parents with teenagers, so it's mostly safety.
Well, we always ask presenters, what can we as the community do to help you?
Let everyone know that 26% is the number. Try to spread that word. I never realized that until my wife got into an accident in St. Louis. Somebody was on the phone, exited in downtown, exited the interstate, and she was standing on a traffic light. It was a non-fatal. He came around 50 and hit 4-car pileup. Everyone was good, but all the 4 cars were totaled. That's when, I knew as an engineer it was a problem, but I never knew 26%. So I always say 26% is the number you need to spread.
Well, thank you so much. and
Thank you
thank
very
to
much for
everyone.
hosting me.
Thank you.